You know, people were down here, the festivals were happening, all that sort of stuff, so everyone beat a path down here consequently, and sort of the rest is history. But, you know, it's just been a hard slog. Independent, you know, we're a double act pretty much. I've ended up by default producing. I'm not a producer, but I had to pick up the phone. Oh, look, there was one point where Leah had a book deal, had just finished Box the Pony at the Opera House, and something else she'd got into, and I couldn't get her an agent in Sydney. Because one agent already had Deb Marlman and Ursula Jovic on their books, another wasn't interested, and so we were going through all of those travails, you know, and all the rest of it. So, you know, and consequently we've got that, but a lot of the stuff we've had to do ourselves, which is incredibly difficult in that independent sort of environment, to where now, you know, she's taken off in her own right, and we've got this production company that's trying to do its thing. But, you know, it's been family, friends, associates, the Black Network. You know, as much as we hate each other at times, we do love and respect each other within that framework. And, you know, that's sort of been our story, but it's very difficult and still is.
I think I'm a product of the same timeline, just a little bit different. I was living in a squat in Woolloomooloo, the gunnery, and I was chucked out of school, and I auditioned for NAIDOC, and of course I was too young, just chucked out of school, and somebody said, "Why don't you go to NAIDOC?" I said, "What the hell is that?" And they said, "It's a place where you can learn about your own culture." I was like, "Oh, a bit dubious," but I went along. His name was Greg Etok, and his sister Kathy is a filmmaker. So I went to NAIDOC, and when I auditioned at NAIDOC, I auditioned with Bernard Shaw St Joan. And Ernie Dingo saw me, and he said, I think you could be an actor in the first playwrights conference." So I just rocked up. I think I took Russell Page's place, and that's where I met Rhoda, and I met Lydia, and I met Bob Mazza, I met Kath, I met all these people. I didn't know they were legends. I was an idiot. And then, you know, they said, "Oh, do you want to get? Who was it?" Ernie said, "Oh, I think I've got a role for you in a play." I said, "No, Ernie, I'm going to be a dancer now. I'm done with that acting crap." And so I stayed at NAIDOC, and you know, and so you know, the people that had taught me, you know, I was around just after the period of black theatre, so you know, the place was still really fertile. People were still. Like, this was in the 80s, and people had a lot to say, and you know, NAIDOC back then, we were on every kind of march. We did every kind of dance about, you know, so the body was, you know, the body was a tool to say what you wanted to say.